You might think spiritual awakening is just about feeling more connected to the universe or finding inner peace. But here's the thing. It's so much more than that. Spiritual awakening can completely flip your relationships upside down in ways you never saw coming. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that suddenly make everything crystal clear. You start seeing yourself, your partner, your friends, and even strangers in a whole new light. And let me tell you, once you see it, there's no going back. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about this? Well, let me put it this way. If you don't get how spiritual awakening affects your relationships, you might end up feeling lost, confused, and out of sync with the people around you. You could find yourself growing apart from loved ones without understanding why. Or worse, you might miss out on the chance to build deeper, more meaningful connections than you ever thought possible. But here's the good news. If you do understand this connection, you can transform your relationships in amazing ways. Imagine being able to love more deeply, communicate more clearly, and connect more authentically with everyone in your life. That's the power of bringing spiritual awakening into your relationships. So, buckle up, because we're about to dive into a journey that could change everything you thought you knew about love, friendship, and connection. Now, I know spiritual awakening might sound like something out of a mystical guidebook, but it's actually pretty simple when you break it down. At its core, spiritual awakening is like waking up from a long sleep. It's when you start to see the world and yourself in a completely new way. Think of it like this. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly realized something important about your life? Maybe you were doing something totally ordinary, like washing dishes or taking a walk, and boom, it hit you. You had this feeling that there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. That's a taste of spiritual awakening. It's not about floating on clouds or speaking in riddles. It's about becoming more aware. Aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and the world around you. It's like you've been watching life on an old TV with bad reception, and suddenly someone hands you a high-def flat screen. Everything becomes clearer, more vivid, more real. Let me give you a quick example. Think about a time when you were a kid and you believed in Santa Claus. Remember how exciting Christmas Eve was? The anticipation, the magic, the wonder. Then, one day, you found out Santa wasn't real. At first, it might have been disappointing, but then you started to see Christmas in a new way. You appreciated the love and effort your parents put into making it special. You understood the deeper meaning behind the holiday. That's kind of what spiritual awakening is like, but for your whole life. When you start to awaken spiritually, you might notice things you never paid attention to before. The beauty of a sunset, the kindness in a stranger's smile, the way your breath feels as it moves in and out of your body. You start to question things you used to take for granted. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What really matters in life? But here's the thing. Spiritual awakening isn't just about you. It ripples out into every part of your life, especially your relationships. And that's where things get really interesting. When you go through a spiritual awakening, it's like you're becoming a new version of yourself. Not in a fake, put-on way, but in a way that feels more real and true than ever before. This change happens deep inside you, and it affects everything about how you see yourself and others. First off, you start to see yourself differently. It's like you're peeling away layers of an onion, getting closer and closer to your true self. All those labels you used to put on yourself, your job title, your role in your family, even your personality type, they start to feel less important. Instead, you begin to see yourself as something bigger, more connected to everything around you. For example, you might have always thought of yourself as just a teacher, or just a mom, or just an accountant. But as you awaken, you realize you're so much more than that. You're a unique expression of life itself, with gifts and purpose that go way beyond any job or role. This new way of seeing yourself can be both exciting and a little scary. It's exciting because you start to feel more free, more authentic. You might find yourself doing things you never thought you would, like starting a meditation practice or picking up a creative hobby you've always been curious about. But it can also be scary because it means letting go of old ideas about who you are and how you should live your life. Another big change is how you view others. Before your awakening, you might have judged people pretty quickly based on how they looked, what they did for a living, or how they acted. But as you awaken, you start to see beyond the surface. You begin to understand that everyone, just like you, has their own inner world, their own struggles, and their own journey. This shift can be huge for your relationships. Suddenly, that annoying coworker becomes a person dealing with their own challenges. Your partner's quirks that used to drive you crazy might now seem like beautiful parts of who they are. You might find yourself feeling more compassion for strangers, imagining what their lives might be like. But it's not all sunshine and roses. This new way of seeing others can also make you more sensitive to negativity and inauthenticity. You might start to feel uncomfortable around people who aren't in tune with their true selves or who are stuck in negative patterns. This can lead to some changes in your social circle, which we'll talk about more later. One of the biggest internal changes during spiritual awakening is how you handle emotions. Before, you might have tried to push away negative feelings or distract yourself when you felt sad or angry. But as you awaken, you start to see all your emotions as important messages, not problems to be solved. For instance, instead of getting mad at yourself for feeling jealous, you might ask, "What's this jealousy trying to tell me? What do I really need right now?" This new relationship with your emotions can make you more balanced and less reactive in your relationships with others. You also start to see the bigger picture of life. The little things that used to stress you out, like traffic jams or a coffee spill on your shirt, they don't seem so important anymore. Instead, you start focusing on what really matters to you. Maybe it's spending quality time with loved ones, or making a positive difference in your community, or exploring your creativity. This shift in priorities can be a bit confusing for the people in your life at first. They might wonder why you're suddenly less interested in climbing the corporate ladder or why you want to spend more time in nature. But as we'll see, this change can also lead to deeper, more meaningful connections. Lastly, you might notice a change in how you communicate. As you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, you'll probably find it easier to express yourself honestly and clearly. You might become a better listener, really tuning in to what others are saying instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. This new way of communicating can transform your relationships. Imagine being able to have those difficult conversations you've been avoiding, or finally feeling understood by your partner or friends. It's like learning a new language, the language of authentic connection. All these internal changes, seeing yourself differently, viewing others with more compassion, handling emotions in a new way, shifting your priorities, and communicating more authentically, they're like ripples in a pond. They start inside you, but they spread out, touching every relationship in your life. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into how these changes play out in your different relationships, with family, friends, romantic partners, and even with strangers. We'll explore the challenges that might come up and how to navigate them. And most importantly, we'll look at how you can use your spiritual awakening to create deeper, more fulfilling connections with the people in your life. Remember, this journey of spiritual awakening is unique for everyone. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. But by understanding how it can affect your relationships, you'll be better prepared to embrace the changes and grow along with them. So, let's keep going and see where this path leads us. When you're going through a spiritual awakening, it's like you're changing the lens through which you see the world. And just like when you get a new pair of glasses, everything looks different, including your relationships. This shift can bring both challenges and incredible opportunities for growth in your connections with family and friends. Let's start with family relationships. These are often the trickiest to navigate during a spiritual awakening because family members have known you the longest and might be the most resistant to seeing you change. You might find that you're suddenly seeing family dynamics in a whole new light. Maybe you start to notice patterns that have been playing out for years, like how certain topics always lead to arguments, or how one family member always seems to take on the peacemaker role. This new awareness can be a bit uncomfortable at first. You might feel frustrated that your family doesn't seem to understand your new perspective. For example, if you've become more interested in meditation or mindfulness, your parents might dismiss it as a phase or worry that you're joining a cult. It's important to remember that their reactions often come from a place of love and concern, even if it doesn't feel that way. On the flip side, Your awakening can also bring new depth to your family relationships. As you become more aware of your own emotions and patterns, you might find it easier to empathize with your family members. Maybe you start to see how your sister's constant criticism comes from her own insecurities, or how your dad's workaholic tendencies stem from his desire to provide for the family. This understanding can help you respond with more compassion and patience. Friendships can also go through significant changes during a spiritual awakening. You might find that some friendships naturally deepen as you become more authentic and open. Friends who are on a similar path or who are open to personal growth might be drawn closer to you. These friendships can become incredibly fulfilling as you support each other's journeys and share your insights and experiences. However, you might also notice that some friendships start to feel less comfortable. Maybe you find yourself less interested in activities you used to enjoy together, like going out drinking or gossiping about coworkers. Or perhaps you start to feel a disconnect with friends who aren't interested in talking about deeper topics or exploring personal growth. It's important to remember that this doesn't mean these friendships are bad or that you need to cut people out of your life. Sometimes, friendships naturally evolve or take on different roles in our lives. You might find that some friends are great for lighthearted fun, while others are better for deep conversations about life and spirituality. The key is to approach these changes with compassion, both for yourself and for others. It's okay if some relationships shift or even end as you grow. It's also okay to maintain different types of friendships that meet different needs in your life. One of the biggest challenges in navigating existing relationships during a spiritual awakening is finding a balance between honoring your own growth and respecting others' journeys. It can be tempting to want to wake up everyone around you, to share all your new insights and try to change the people in your life. But it's important to remember that everyone is on their own path, moving at their own pace. Instead of trying to change others, focus on being the best version of yourself. Lead by example. Show the positive changes in your life through your actions, not just your words. Be patient with those who don't understand your new perspective, and be open to learning from them too. After all, spiritual awakening is about becoming more open and compassionate, not about being right or more evolved than others. As you navigate these changes in your existing relationships, you might experience a range of emotions. It's normal to feel excited about your growth one day, and then sad or frustrated the next when you face misunderstandings or conflicts with loved ones. Remember to be gentle with yourself during this process. It's all part of the journey. Now, let's talk about how spiritual awakening can shake things up in your love life. Whether you're single, in a new relationship, or have been with your partner for years, spiritual awakening can bring both challenges and incredible opportunities for deeper connection and growth. If you're in a relationship when your spiritual awakening begins, you might notice some shifts pretty quickly. Suddenly, you're seeing your partner in a new light. You might become more aware of the patterns in your relationship, both the healthy ones and the not-so-healthy ones. This can be a bit like turning on a bright light in a dim room. At first, it might be uncomfortable as you start to see things you didn't notice before. For example, you might realize that you've been playing a certain role in the relationship that doesn't feel authentic anymore. Maybe you've always been the fixer, trying to solve all your partner's problems, and now you're realizing that's not really your job. Or perhaps you notice that you and your partner have fallen into a routine that doesn't leave much room for deeper connection or growth. This new awareness can lead to some growing pains in the relationship. Your partner might feel confused or even threatened by the changes they see in you. They might worry that you're growing apart or that you don't love them anymore. It's important to communicate openly and honestly during this time. Share your experiences with your partner, but also be sure to listen to their feelings and concerns. On the flip side, spiritual awakening can also bring incredible depth and intimacy to your romantic relationship. As you become more aware of your own emotions and needs, you might find it easier to express yourself to your partner. This can lead to more honest, vulnerable conversations that strengthen your bond. You might also find that you're able to love your partner more fully and unconditionally. Instead of focusing on what they're doing wrong or how they need to change, you might start to appreciate them for who they truly are. This shift can be transformative, allowing both of you to feel more accepted and loved in the relationship. If you're single when you start your spiritual awakening, you might notice changes in how you approach dating and relationships. You may become more clear about what you're looking for in a partner, focusing less on superficial qualities and more on emotional and spiritual connection. You might find yourself attracted to different types of people than before, or you might choose to take a break from dating to focus on your own growth. For those in new relationships, spiritual awakening can help you build a strong foundation right from the start. You might find it easier to be authentic and vulnerable with your new partner, setting the stage for deep intimacy and trust. One of the biggest challenges in romantic relationships during spiritual awakening is when one partner is awakening and the other isn't. This can create a sense of disconnect or imbalance in the relationship. The awakening partner might feel frustrated that their significant other doesn't understand their new perspectives or interests. The other partner might feel left behind or worry that they're losing connection with their loved one. If you find yourself in this situation, patience and communication are key. Remember that everyone's journey is different, and your partner's path doesn't have to look exactly like yours. Focus on sharing your experiences without trying to force your partner to change. Invite them to join you in activities that are meaningful to you, but also be willing to engage in things they enjoy. It's also important to find a balance between your individual growth and your growth as a couple. Make sure you're nurturing your relationship even as you're exploring your own spiritual path. This might mean setting aside dedicated time for your relationship, free from spiritual discussions or practices. It could also mean finding ways to incorporate your spiritual growth into your relationship, like practicing mindfulness together or having deep conversations about life and meaning. Remember, spiritual awakening is ultimately about becoming more loving, compassionate, and authentic. These qualities can greatly enhance your romantic relationships, whether you're single, dating, or in a long-term partnership. By bringing more presence and awareness to your love life, you open the door to deeper connection and more fulfilling relationships. As you continue on your spiritual awakening journey, you might notice changes in how you form and develop new relationships. This shift can affect everything from casual acquaintances to deep friendships and romantic partnerships. Let's explore how your approach to new connections might change, and how you can find like-minded individuals who resonate with your new perspective. One of the first things you might notice is that you're drawn to different types of people than before. Where you once might have been attracted to people based on their appearance, status, or shared interests in surface-level things, you might now find yourself more interested in someone's energy, their depth of character, or their own spiritual journey. This shift can feel a bit disorienting at first. You might find yourself striking up conversations with people you wouldn't have noticed before, or feeling a strong connection with someone who, on paper, seems quite different from you. This is because you're tuning into a different frequency now, picking up on subtle cues and energies that you might not have been aware of before. For example, you might feel an instant connection with the quiet person at a party who's standing off to the side, observing everyone else, where before you might have gravitated towards the loudest, most outgoing people. Now you're drawn to those who seem to have a sense of inner calm or thoughtfulness. As you form new relationships, you might also notice that you're more open and vulnerable right from the start. The walls and masks that you used to put up when meeting new people might start to feel unnecessary or even uncomfortable. Instead, you might find yourself sharing more of your true self, even in initial encounters. This newfound openness can lead to faster, deeper connections. You might find that you're able to have meaningful conversations with strangers, or that new friendships develop more quickly and intensely than before. This can be exciting and fulfilling, but it's also important to maintain healthy boundaries and not rush into relationships too quickly. Another change you might notice is that you're more discerning about the energy you allow into your life. As you become more aware of your own energy and emotions, you might also become more sensitive to the energy of others. This can be both a blessing and a challenge when forming new relationships. On one hand, this sensitivity can help you quickly identify people who align with your values and who contribute positively to your life. You might find yourself naturally gravitating towards individuals who are also on a path of growth and self-discovery, or who have a sense of inner peace and authenticity. On the other hand, you might also become more aware of people whose energy feels draining or negative. Where before you might have ignored red flags or pushed aside uncomfortable feelings, Now you might find it harder to do so. This can sometimes lead to feeling more isolated, especially if you live in an area where it's hard to find like-minded individuals. First, consider exploring spiritual or personal growth communities in your area. This could mean attending meditation classes, joining a yoga studio, or participating in workshops on topics that interest you. These can be great places to meet people who are on similar journeys. Online communities can also be valuable resources. There are many forums, social media groups, and online courses focused on spiritual growth and awakening. While these connections start virtually, they can often lead to meaningful friendships and even in-person meetups. Don't discount the power of everyday interactions either. As you become more authentic and open, you might find that you attract like-minded people naturally. The cashier at your local grocery store, a neighbor you've never really talked to before, or a coworker you've only had superficial conversations with. Any of these could turn into a meaningful connection if you're open to it. Remember, though, that it's not about completely replacing your old social circle with a new, more spiritual one. It's about expanding your connections and finding a balance that feels right for you. Some of your existing relationships might evolve along with you, while you might also welcome new people into your life who resonate with your current path. As you form these new relationships, it's important to stay true to yourself. Don't try to mold yourself to fit someone else's idea of spirituality or personal growth. Trust that by being authentic, you'll naturally attract the right people into your life. Also, be patient with yourself and others. Just because someone is on a spiritual path doesn't mean they're perfect or that your relationship will be free from challenges. Every relationship, no matter how spiritually aligned, requires communication, understanding, and sometimes hard work. Forming new relationships after a spiritual awakening can be an exciting and rewarding process. It's an opportunity to connect more deeply, to share your journey with others, and to learn from those around you. By staying open, authentic, and discerning, you can create a network of relationships that support and enrich your ongoing spiritual growth. As you continue on your spiritual awakening journey, you'll likely find that one of the biggest challenges is striking a balance between your personal growth and your relationships. It's like you're learning to dance to a new rhythm, and sometimes it feels like you're stepping on toes, both your own and others. First, let's talk about the importance of self-care during awakening. This journey can be intense, bringing up all sorts of emotions and realizations. It's crucial to give yourself the time and space to process these changes. This might mean setting aside time each day for meditation, journaling, or simply being alone with your thoughts. However, this need for personal space can sometimes clash with the demands of your relationships. Your partner might feel neglected if you're spending more time in solitude. Your friends might not understand why you're not as available as you used to be. This is where clear communication becomes key. It's important to explain to your loved ones what you're going through and why you need this time for yourself. You might say something like, "I'm going through some big changes right now, and I need some extra time to myself to process everything." It doesn't mean I care about you any less. In fact, taking this time helps me show up better in our relationship. At the same time, it's crucial not to use your spiritual journey as an excuse to neglect your relationships. Remember, true spirituality isn't about escaping from the world or your responsibilities. It's about engaging with life more fully and authentically. So, how do you find this balance? One approach is to schedule your time intentionally. Set aside specific times for your personal practices, but also make sure you're dedicating quality time to your relationships. This might mean having a weekly date night with your partner, regular catch-ups with friends, or family dinners where everyone puts away their phones and really connects. Another strategy is to find ways to integrate your spiritual practices into your relationships. For example, you might invite your partner to meditate with you, or suggest a nature walk with friends where you can all practice mindfulness together. This can help your loved ones understand and appreciate your journey, and might even inspire them to explore their own growth. It's also important to remember that your relationships can be a powerful catalyst for your spiritual growth. The challenges that come up in your interactions with others can be great opportunities for self-reflection and growth. For instance, if you find yourself getting irritated with a friend, instead of just reacting, You can use it as a chance to explore why you're feeling that way and what it might be teaching you about yourself. Lastly, be patient with yourself and others as you navigate this balance. There will likely be times when you feel like you're not doing enough for your personal growth, and other times when you feel like you're neglecting your relationships. This is all part of the process. The key is to stay aware, keep communicating, and adjust your approach as needed. As you progress on your spiritual awakening journey, you're bound to face some bumps in the road, especially when it comes to your relationships. Let's talk about some common challenges you might encounter and how to navigate them. One of the most frequent issues is feeling disconnected from people who were once close to you. You might find that you no longer share the same interests or values with some friends or family members. This can lead to a sense of loneliness or isolation, even when you're surrounded by people. If you're experiencing this, remember that it's a normal part of the awakening process. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to end these relationships. Instead, try to find new ways to connect. Focus on the core of your relationship, the love, history, or shared experiences that brought you together in the first place. You might be surprised to find that you can still maintain meaningful connections, even if you don't see eye to eye on everything. Another challenge is dealing with skepticism or criticism from others. Not everyone will understand or appreciate the changes you're going through. Some might dismiss your new perspectives as a phase, or even react with hostility. When faced with this kind of reaction, it's important to stay grounded in your own truth. You don't need to convince anyone else of the validity of your journey. At the same time, try to respond with compassion. Remember that skepticism often comes from a place of fear or misunderstanding. You might say something like, "I know this might seem strange to you, but it's really helping me become a better, happier person. I hope you can be happy for me, even if you don't fully understand." A third common challenge is the temptation to judge or fix others. As you become more aware and start making positive changes in your life, you might feel frustrated when you see loved ones stuck in negative patterns. You might want to shake them and say, "Can't you see what you're doing to yourself?" While this impulse comes from a place of caring, it's important to resist the urge to force your awakening on others. Everyone is on their own journey, moving at their own pace. The best thing you can do is to live your truth and be an example. If others are interested, they'll ask. And if they're not ready, that's okay too. One more challenge worth mentioning is maintaining boundaries. As you become more open and compassionate, you might find that people are drawn to your energy. While this can be beautiful, it can also be draining if you're not careful. You might find yourself taking on other people's problems or emotions, or saying yes to things that don't align with your values. Learning to set healthy boundaries is crucial. This means being clear about what you're comfortable with and what you're not. It means learning to say no when necessary and taking time for yourself when you need it. Remember, you can be kind and compassionate while still taking care of your own needs. As we wrap up our exploration of spiritual awakening and relationships, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've discussed. We've covered a lot of ground, from understanding what spiritual awakening is, to how it changes you, to its impact on various types of relationships in your life. Remember, spiritual awakening is a profound and personal journey that touches every aspect of your life, especially your relationships. It's a process of becoming more aware, more authentic, and more connected, both to yourself and to others. This journey can bring challenges as you navigate changes in yourself and in your interactions with others. You might face misunderstandings, feel disconnected at times, or struggle to find balance. But with these challenges come incredible opportunities for growth and deeper connection. As you become more authentic and aware, you open the door to more meaningful relationships. You might find that some connections deepen, while others naturally fall away. New relationships may enter your life, aligned with your evolving perspectives and values. Throughout this process, remember to be patient and compassionate with yourself and with others. Everyone is on their own journey, moving at their own pace. Your role is not to change others, but to live your truth and be open to the growth and changes that come with it. Balancing your personal growth with your relationships is an ongoing process. It requires clear communication, intentional effort, and a willingness to be vulnerable. But the rewards are immeasurable: deeper connections, more authentic relationships, and a greater sense of harmony in your life. As you continue on your spiritual awakening journey, keep in mind that it's not about reaching a final destination. It's about the ongoing process of growth, awareness, and connection. Your relationships will continue to evolve as you do, offering endless opportunities for learning and love. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Many others are walking similar paths, facing similar challenges, and experiencing similar joys. Stay open to the lessons each relationship brings, and trust in your own inner wisdom to guide you. May your awakening bring you closer to your true self and to those around you. May it lead you to relationships filled with authenticity, depth, and love. And may it help you create a life that reflects your highest truth and deepest values. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of spiritual awakening and relationships. I hope you found insights and ideas that resonate with you and support you on your journey. Remember, every step you take towards greater awareness and authenticity is a step towards more fulfilling relationships and a more meaningful life.